I just issued a 100% refund to my Airbnb guest. I've been managing reservations for over 10 years, and I have never had to do something so crazy to get a positive review. The point of this video is to teach via experience. How did I handle this situation, and how could I have handled it better? Why did I feel that I had to give a 100% refund on a 9-night extended Airbnb reservation? This point alone could save you thousands of dollars. My experience with the new Airbnb negative review removal and advice for Airbnb. Now, if you're new to my channel, and I used to work at Airbnb. A few years ago, their legal team reached out to me, and since then I have never directly heard from them. But I know that they covertly watch my channel because there are changes on the platform soon after I release a video. The most recent one was about how to remove the photo layout. I'm going to post it in the upper left-hand corner. I hope this means that they also read my comments, so I want you to let them know if you agree with my story and the feedback that I'll provide at the end, and if you have any other similar situations. The point of this video is to improve the platform for both the guest and the host. It's story time. This guest was a repeat guest, actually. You can see his first review here, 5 stars, highly rated. He did ask for a refund on that first reservation. Now, he came back as a repeat guest, and he had some additional complaints during his stay, none of which I thought were that serious, and all of which I believed had been taken care of. One of the complaints he had, and the first tip I will give you, is that there was in fact construction noise. And when there is construction noise, that's a change of expectations. So try and think of it like that for Airbnb hosts. When there's a change in expectations, you have to communicate that to the guest. If you advertise a pool and it's down for maintenance, you have to tell the guest that in the listing or via message. I accept that I did not do that, and I should have done that. At the same time, I want to share a slightly different story with you. It's from the Belmonte penthouse. I actually had my front windows, one of the guests pulled them out so far that they fell down to the ground. Now, I had a same-day check-in. My occupancy there is 95%, and I did reset the guest expectations. I sent him a message and I said, hey, here's the situation. We're getting it resolved. It's going to have to be something or other up over the window for the time being. That guest called Airbnb and complained, and I had to give that guest a refund. Nevertheless, the advice is true. The complaints will go down if you reset the guest expectations. You have to do that no matter what. Now, there was some other things. There was a handprint on the wall or somewhere, and we had a cleaner come over and re-clean. The guest claimed that the cleaner took his reusable grocery bag. Turned out that wasn't true. It was just misplaced in a different area, and there was an issue with the jacuzzi. How my system is set up is that when there is a reservation that comes in, then my local concierge takes over communication, starts a WhatsApp group, so I'm pretty hands-off unless they need me. Now, this guest checks out, and Airbnb sends me a message a few days later, hey, this guest is asking for a 100% refund. And at first I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I got listings going on here, and they give you the number. I'm like, well, let me look into whose guest this is, because I have no idea who this could be. When I finally found out what the guest is, I'm even more shocked, because that guest asked to extend their reservation, which I did. And then they asked to check out late, which I accepted with no fee. And then they asked for a 100% refund. On Airbnb, you're not allowed to threaten a bad review for a refund. But that's exactly what this guest did. And I provided Airbnb screenshots, as you're seeing now, where the guest is directly saying, hey, if you don't give me a refund, you will get a negative review. If you do give me a refund, you will get a positive review. Airbnb even acknowledged this. But the thing is, I had to go back and forth with Airbnb a few times because they wanted me to submit a negative review removal after the fact. But the thing is, and which I was trying to explain to them is, well, if I give the guest a 100% refund, he said he's going to give me a positive review, so I won't need to do a negative review removal. The thing is, if I don't give him a review, he'll leave me a negative review. But also, the thing is, I've been through that negative review removal process. That's updated as of a few months ago, and it's virtually impossible to get any negative review removed. Let me explain to you my only ever 2-star review. The guest complained that all rooms didn't have air conditioning. I installed air conditioning in every single room for that guest. I submitted a negative review removal through that link that Airbnb provides. I did an appeal, which you're allowed one appeal. All of it was denied. So I didn't want to risk getting a negative review, because even one negative review hurts you tremendously as a host, especially if you're a good listing with a 4.9 or above and you have only one bad review. Every guest is going to see that. And guests who see negative reviews, they're more cautious than guests who see positive reviews. In other words, a negative review holds more weight than a positive review. I have 3 pieces of feedback that Airbnb can implement. As a viewer, I want you to let me know what you think of this feedback. Now, the first piece of feedback is that Airbnb should be tracking guests like they track hosts. As a host, Airbnb knows how much you cost them. How many times does your reservation result in a refund, in their customer service, having to get involved, etc. The host, though, it would be nice for us to know, how many times does this guest ask for a refund? How many times does this guest leave less than 5-star reviews? This would make the platform more efficient, because there's a percentage of guests, and that percentage is growing, who are taking advantage of Airbnb's policy. This is the second time in 2 months where I've had a guest tell me that they know they're entitled to a 30% refund if there is construction noise. Feedback number 2 is that the review manipulation process is not clear. As soon as it's detected with evidence that the guest is trying to get a refund in exchange for a positive review, whether that's not to leave a negative review or to leave a positive review, the refund should no longer be necessary, and both reviews, but definitely the guest review, should not be allowed to be left for that reservation, because it's being manipulated with a refund. The third piece of feedback is to not make negative reviews so hurtful to an Airbnb listing. All hosts know that we really need to avoid negative reviews, because as soon as you get one, there's weeks and oftentimes months where your reservations dip. The review that I got, a 2-star review, I'll be actually talking more about that on an upcoming video. I have lost over $10,000 from that one review alone. From Airbnb's perspective, that's good for the guest. The guest is happy, the guest will come back. But from the host's perspective, it's very bad. I understand there's a balance to meet there, but what happened in my case? Over the past 10 years, I have been exclusively on Airbnb. I've publicly said that. I've talked to my community about why it makes sense to be only on Airbnb, if at all possible. Now I am on VRBO and Booking.com. For a decade, I gave only my commissions to Airbnb, but now I have decided to extend my reach, because Airbnb guests have gotten more trashy. In the past, I would say that 95% of reservations went flawless. Nowadays, it's about 80%. The majority of guests are still good, but nowadays I'm dealing with a problem 1 every 5 reservations, as opposed to in the past, it was 1 every 20 reservations. The craziest part of this whole story is that not only did I get the guest to admit via text that he will accept a full refund in exchange for a positive review, but he stipulated that he be allowed to return to my Airbnb in the future.